We are live. Okay. Hi, everyone. How
Hi,
are you? Nice
good
to see
morning.
you.
Hi.
Hi. Okay. We are here with Samantha. Hi, Samantha. How are you?
Good morning. Good. How are you?
Good, good. So we'll give people a few minutes to sign on. Um, why don't our viewers who are students let us know what you're studying, and our applicants let us know where you're from so we can differentiate the two. I haven't seen any comments yet, so who wants to be our first commenter? There might also be a bit of a delay. But hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. It's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Jessica. I'm the social media and community manager at University of the People, and I am here with Samantha, who is an MBA student at UO People. So we will get into Samantha's story in a bit, but I want to give everyone a few minutes to sign on. So just a few things about University of the People. Well, first of all, we have an application deadline coming up. It's this Saturday, October 31st. So don't forget to save your spot. Um, there is a link to the application in the description of this event. Okay, I see our first comment, which is great. Yusuf and Eliana. Sorry if I didn't say your name right. And Shri. Okay, yay. Yes, you win a lot of money, Shari or Shri. Um, okay, so there is an application deadline coming up this Saturday, October 31st. Don't forget to save your spot. The new term begins November 12th, so that's super exciting. A few things about University of the People. For those of you who don't know, we are 100% online, which gives you flexibility to study anywhere, anytime. All you need is an internet connection. We are tuition free, so we just collect small minimal fees to keep us up and running, but we will never collect a yearly tuition. We do offer grants and scholarships for those who need some financial assistance. No problem. And what else can I tell you? We have a very strong academic leadership team coming from the top universities around the world: NYU, UC Berkeley, Princeton, just to name a few. Full list on our website, of course. And we have 44,000 students from over 200 countries and territories, which is a lot of students from a lot of different places. So if you're not a native English speaker, not to worry. We do offer an English composition course to catch you up to speed. Okay, so let's get started with Samantha. So Samantha, hi. Where
Hey,
where are you?
I am with you today from the Big Island of Hawaii.
And what time is it in Hawaii?
It is 4:03 in the morning here.
Okay, so special thank you to Samantha. When we arranged this event, I did not understand how far behind she was from the East Coast. So I really, really appreciate you waking up in the middle of the night. I think that's a first. I really appreciate it though. So thank you. That's very much appreciated that you did that. So thanks. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe your background, if you have a job, family, whatever it may be.
Sure. So I started my educational journey at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, Virginia, and I earned my Bachelor of Arts in Psychology there. After graduating from Virginia, I had this wild idea to become a scuba dive instructor. So I actually moved to Honduras and became a scuba dive instructor. Lived and worked in Honduras, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and then the British Virgin Islands, and then kind of got into boating along with scuba diving and became a yacht delivery captain. So I worked as a boat captain for a few years, eventually moving to Hawaii, where I kind of started transitioning over to submarines. And then I guess I decided that wasn't quite enough. So I moved on to actually helicopters about 6 years ago. And I'm now working as a commercial helicopter pilot here in Hawaii, doing tours of the volcanoes and the valleys and the waterfalls and humpback whales and things like that here. But, there's just never enough time in the day, is there, to do all the things you want to do. So now MBA student as well, thanks to you people.
Oh, that's so cool. Now, I want to remind our viewers to feel free to ask questions throughout the live event, whether it's for, UO people or if it's for Samantha. We'll try to cover it. And if we don't respond to your question, we will review and respond after, not to worry. Okay, so Samantha, back to you. Why did you decide to study at University of the People?
Well, higher education I've always believed in, but again, there just never seems like there's never enough time in the day, and finances can always be tight. I'm a single mom. I have a 7-year-old son, and it's very, very difficult to afford, higher education rates. So when I came across UO People, I was a little bit skeptical at first, right? If something seems too good to be true, it can't be, right? But I did quite a lot of research and I was really impressed with what I found. So I decided to enroll, and especially during COVID, my hours were cut drastically. So had a little bit of extra time and I was just really, really happy with what I found. So I'm working on my MBA program right now, and I'm 2 terms in at the moment, and just it gives me the flexibility schedule wise. When it's 4 a.m. here and it's 10 a.m. Or 8 a.m. on the East Coast. I don't even know what time it is there, right? You can do your classwork kind of any time of the day, and then financially, it just really made sense for me as well.
Okay, wow. And how do you find time to go to school and be a pilot, just out of curiosity?
I mean, and
And
that
fun.
Yeah, so that's a great point. I think when I initially signed up for the program, I didn't have super high expectations for it. I didn't think that it was really going to take a lot of my time, and I found out that it does. I'm just finishing up my managerial accounting class, and it's tough. So it's about putting in the effort, and it's not any easier, I don't think, than any other graduate program. So it's just about deciding what's important to you and making that commitment. So instead of Netflix, you're reading about contribution margins and fixed and variable costs. So it's just about what you want.
That's interesting. So, well, good for you. And how has your job been impacted due to COVID-19?
Yeah, so our hours were cut at first, and then as of July, I was completely furloughed from my position. COVID in Hawaii has been a really tricky subject. We've kind of gone into total lockdown, even from domestic travelers. But we are hoping to start back up. So I'm actually flying out to another island, Kauai, in a couple of weeks to do what's called a check ride. So every year you have to do one of these rides with an FAA inspector to make sure you're competent and qualified to fly passengers. So looking forward to getting back to work, and yeah, it'll be a little bit of a juggle, but willing to do it.
Okay, cool. And I didn't realize that Hawaii had cut off domestic travelers. That's interesting because probably because it's such a touristy place, right?
Right. So I think it's almost 90% of the state's income is based on tourism, and not just domestic tourism, but Japanese tourism as well, and Chinese tourism. So that's all just been cut off. And I guess it's great that the beaches are really empty, but yeah, a lot of businesses are struggling.
Yeah, everyone is. Yeah, I feel so bad for the businesses who are really affected by this. Okay, but we can only hope for the best, right?
Right.
Okay, so going back to higher education, maybe you could talk about some of the challenges that you faced in the past, due to maybe life challenges or whatever challenges they might be that prevented you from getting higher education.
Yeah, I think that everybody has their own story, and everybody has a unique and different set of challenges surrounding them. And, you can make excuses for yourself, or you can go after it. For me, I think one of the biggest challenges I've had, especially in my postgraduate, or I'm sorry, in my just after graduating from the University of Virginia, is being in a lot of fields that were very male dominated. Um, Unfortunately, in the United States, there aren't great maternity laws. So 8 weeks after having my son, I had to go back to work for financial reasons. There was no type of, government pay or compensation. And so just, working with all men, and trying to, you know, breastfeed while I was, working on the boat or pump or, all of those issues to women, I think are really, really tricky. We're being told, maybe you're not good enough, or, you're a pretty face. Maybe you should, think about doing something else. All those things I think are pretty common that a lot of people hear. And then just like we touched on before, I think the biggest struggle with the graduate program was the time and the money. Once you become an adult and you kind of have a life and you have a job and maybe you have a family and finances are tight, how do you get to that next step? And it seems like it always gets kind of getting pushed to the back burner. So that's why I was super, super appreciative for University of the People to be able to give me this opportunity to, sure, work hard, but be able to, financially and time-wise pursue the goal.
Yeah, going back to what you said about, the differences between how men are treated and how women are treated. I also feel like, I don't know, is it just me? But I just feel like it's only now that people are really, really starting to talk about this discrepancy. You keep hearing about how women are losing their jobs. How during this time period, a lot of the women are negatively impacted by COVID-19, and they're the ones who are quitting their jobs to like take care of their children. I don't know. I feel like it's a topic that's getting addressed more and more, and hopefully we will get there someday. But that was an interesting point. Yeah, I've never really had anyone on these live events address that. So thank you. Okay, so how has studying online benefited you?
I mean, I think um, I don't want to say it's fairly obvious. I don't want to sound condescending, but I mean, just being able to, do anything online, the flexibility of, your own time, your own schedule, is great. I know that in my 2 terms, I've had classmates from all over the world. And University of the People has part of the graduate studies is a weekly discussion forum. So you can post in this discussion forum at the beginning of the week, and throughout the week, you have other people that comment on those discussions. You can interact with others. But again, just that flexibility of, any time of day throughout that 1 week period of being able to do your reading assignments and turn them in. And, sure, maybe you have a family trip planned at the first part of the week, or maybe you have, a work schedule or a religious holiday. As long as you can kind of plan your life around that week and maybe get your work done early or get your work done a little bit later in the week and plan for that, the online format gives that flexibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you plan on doing with your degree once you graduate from UO People?
Well, big plans. I say, my 20 or 30-year plan, but I do want to eventually pursue my PhD with Embry-Riddle, which is a huge aviation university. I'm very interested in the psychology of aviation and psychological factors that influence decision making for pilots. I think that we've had a lot of technological innovations over the last 10 years, but not a lot has been done to really assess decision making. Personally, I've had maybe 6 or 7 friends lost in aviation related accidents. I know we all know about the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash at the beginning of this year. So really kind of addressing those things. And then eventually I do want to set up my own consulting business with the FAA and the NTSB, which is the National Transportation Safety Board. And I believe that this MBA will kind of give me that business sense and foundation to, fingers crossed, be able to do that in the future.
Yeah, definitely. So just out of curiosity, you kind of mentioned how you got into being a pilot, but what made you so interested in the psychology behind it?
Psychology was always just something that I kind of had just an interest in. I just found it fascinating. I think it's really interesting how people's minds work. Um, I'm also obviously very interested in how machines work. But machines are reliable. Machines are predictable. If you don't put oil in your engine, it's not going to work. If you don't, it's very clockwork. But humans are a lot trickier and a lot trickier to unravel. I did take an organizational theory and behavior class in the first term I did at UO People, which was really, really interesting, kind of building on that psychology. So just digging a little deeper into, what makes us tick, what is our oil for our engines, and ultimately, figuring those kinds of things out and encouraging pilots to make those safer decisions, for the safety of the passengers that are with them.
I am going to bounce off of that with Julia's question. Samantha, this has been such an interesting event. Thank you for sharing your story. Why did you decide to pursue aviation?
Yeah. Okay. So, Julia, thank you. Good question. So, growing up, my parents, my mom and my dad, were both in the Coast Guard growing up. So, I grew up around boats and helicopters. I'm what's called a military brat. So, I moved around every 2 years or so. I went to 9 different schools in 12 years. So, just all over the place. But kind of the constant in my life was always boats and helicopters, right, with the Coast Guard. So obviously got into the boating side of things, and then a little bit later, after that, decided to pursue the helicopters as well.
So interesting. Such an interesting career path. You must be very, very passionate about aviation. I can feel it all the way from here. Okay, so can you talk maybe about your experience at UO People, like the courses you took, the instructors, maybe your interactions with peers? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Sure. So I've just taken two classes so far. I've taken one class per term. For me, that was just kind of what I could handle being a single mom with my schedule. I probably spent 20 to 25 hours a week for each course. So it was, kind of like a solid part-time job for me. The first term I took organizational theory and behavior, which was really interesting for me because I really love, again, kind of that psychology behind business and behind organizations. But I do have to say, I think I've learned the most in my managerial accounting class, which I just finished up. I just turned in my portfolio for that class yesterday. It was a really, really tough class. Just because I was exposed to principles that I'd never seen before, net present values, contribution margins, financial statements, ratios, all these things that were kind of scary before, but, was able to kind of delve into. And I do have to kind of give my professor, Dr. Angela Palmer, from managerial accounting, a shout out because she is very, very hands-on. She participated on a daily basis in the discussion forums. And kind of asked us pointed questions, gave us really good direction and feedback, which was really, really great. And then also, I don't know if he's on here or not, but Gilbert Wong, who was one of my assigned group mates for organizational theory and behavior, who's from Singapore, I actually created a great friendship with, and he ended up taking the managerial accounting class. So we were able to, even though we weren't in the same class together, compare notes and discuss some theories and things. So, it does feel like a university experience, although a little bit, a little bit different from the traditional one.
Yeah. So you do feel like there's a lot of, interaction with your peers, and you're able to meet friends, and this is
Right.
something that you feel. Yeah, a lot of people say that one of their favorite things about studying at University of the People is the fact that they get to meet people from all over the world.
Right.
So with that being said, what is your most memorable moment at UO People so far?
There have been some good memorable moments so far. Um, I think a lot of the discussions have been very memorable for me and very, very thought-provoking for me. In this past class, we had a section on risk management and risk mitigation in capital budgeting decisions, which is really interesting for me. We've been talking a lot about, of course, which I'm very interested in, aviation, right, and the business models for aviation, and so that's been really interesting for me to kind of learn about, why some of these decisions are being made in some of these bigger companies.
Okay, very interesting. And what sort of tips would you have for those looking to transition to an online education?
I think the biggest thing is to make a plan for yourself and be prepared. Just because University of the People is tuition free doesn't mean it's easy, doesn't mean that it's just, a walk in the park. You do have to set aside the time, on a weekly basis to do the readings and to do the discussion posts, at least at the graduate level, to do the reading assignments, the written assignments, and then the portfolio assignments. So I think time management is a really big one for setting yourself up for success.
Yeah, and how do you manage your time?
Yeah, so at the beginning, yeah, I'm a little bit OCD. At the beginning of every week, I have my calendar and I look to see, what's going on for that week. Do we have baseball game to go to? Do we, for my son, do I have work related activities? What do I need to do? And then I fill in, around that where I need to get my studying done. And most of the time, it comes down to evenings, right? So again, instead of watching a movie or doing something like that. It's studying.
Yeah. Okay, well, you're doing amazing. And how long have you been enrolled at University of the People so far?
Just 2 terms so far. So I guess that means I started in June. And then on with the current trajectory of 1 class per term, I think I'll be done beginning of 2022. So it's a long process, but
Yeah,
it's a journey, right? It's about the journey.
yeah, definitely. Baby steps, baby steps.
Yeah.
Um, and your son is how old?
He's 7, well, almost 7.
And what is he like? What is he doing? Like home learning, or how's
Yeah,
he doing?
so Hawaii is going to be going back to the blended model, but right now it's all at home education. So again, without, I've been furloughed from my job, so I've kind of turned into stay at home mom educator, and it's been really interesting. I know everyone has their own beliefs. I think online learning is great for adults, but I'm not so convinced it's the best for kids.
I know. This is seriously what every parent says to me. Like that,
It's
um,
just tough,
they
yeah.
just say that their kids are just not learning. So, you know, hopefully they're learning other things about life. So to make up for it.
Yeah, that's the great thing about being in Hawaii. I mean, we have, a waterfall a couple blocks down and, the beach is a mile that way. And so it's, at least we can be outside.
Yeah, that's really nice. Okay, well, Samantha, I know it's the middle of the night there for you, so I think it's time to let you go. So we're gonna close with, first of all, Samantha, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah.
You
Thank you
have
for
a
having
very
me.
Yeah, of course, you have a very interesting story, and I know you're very determined, and I wish you the best of luck at University of the People with your MBA. And to you and all our students, I know you guys have exams coming up, so good luck to everyone. I hope you guys all do amazing. I'm sure you will. And for those who haven't applied to UO People yet, don't forget to save your spot by this Saturday, October 31st. There is a link to the application in the description of this event, so just head on over there. And you can take a whole term of courses and not pay until the end. So there's like no risk involved. We just really want to open the gates to higher education for everyone, no matter what your barrier is. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today and Samantha. And it's been lovely. Any questions, you can email admissions@uopeople.edu, or you can email your advisor. So that's all I got. So Samantha, thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Have a great day, you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.